Dave's most exciting game of the year, Bad Cheese.
Bad Cheese Game of the Year. I'm calling it right now. Bad Cheese. If you guys don't know anything about this, I'm not holding it against you because I don't think a lot of people know about this game. But this is a game by developer Simon Lukasic, a single developer, published by Feardemic. And essentially, what we're going to be looking at is a psychological horror game in which you are a mouse spending the weekend at home with a dysfunctional dad. And the thing about this game is two things. The graphics for the game are supposed to be inspired by 1920s animation, which you know I love. And if you look at the game, the mouse's hands are very have a striking resemblance to a very famous mouse that is since entered public domain. Do you
Yeah.
know what I'm talking about?
Yes, Steamboat
Okay.
Willie.
Okay, so Steamboat Willie, if you guys don't know, is the inspiration for Mickey Mouse, has since entered the public domain, and it feels like a lot of people are just trying to do anything that they possibly can with this. But if you guys are just listening, I do implore you to maybe take a look at the trailer because I think the animation style is actually kind of cool.
It's very like spot on to the 1920s. Like,
Yes.
oy.
Very spot on, but it's also like to have this type of animation style in a horror game just feels odd.
Yeah.
It's like it's oddly unsettling.
Yeah.
Is that what you feel when you watch this?
Yeah, I think so. Again, like it's hard for me to like get scared of these kinds of games. I know what the game's trying to do, but I don't know. I think I'd have to have my hands on instead of just watching a trailer, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a very interesting kind of feel to it.
Yeah.
So it's like I don't know. It's almost like it's hard to explain. Like I feel like the foreground, like your character, the way that they drew it and like certain characters in the game. Like if you guys are watching the trailer, you can kind of see what I'm talking about. Like your character and specific characters are very punchy. I'm trying
Yeah.
to think of a better way to say it. Like
Yeah.
very upfront in the foreground, and then everything else just feels like kind of dark and like very bokeh out. Like very, I don't know. It's just a very interesting art style, and I wanted to bring it up because I think more games should try to do this art style. Like we saw this with Cuphead and a few other games, and I love the art style. For me though, I just wanted to kind of get your opinion. Like, do you think this is a game that could be scary?
With this kind of animation, I don't think it can.
Yeah, that's what I was getting at too.
And it's so I think what you're thinking of is like rubber bandy, like yeah, like a rubber band feel to it. I think maybe yes, it's psychological horror, but I wonder if it's more so like you said, the unsettlingness of it, not so much like it's very scary, but more of this game's just weird and creepy, and not so much like what's gonna scare me next. You know what I mean? Like I think it's more of the way the game's gonna progress and like, whoa, that's weird looking. Not so much I'm terrified out of my mind.
Right. Like I think you're obviously gonna get your basic jump scares, but when I was watching the trailer, I just had this feeling of like, I don't know, I'm not scared. I'm just like kind of just feel off. Like I just feel off. Why? Like I'm not scared. I'm not like there's no like excitement or trauma or you know what I mean? I just feel strange just watching it.
It's something that I don't think you will know how you feel until you play the game. Like I think it's I don't know. This isn't my type of game. It's not really I don't know. I think it's almost like a parody game. You know what I mean? I think this game isn't supposed to be anything like too crazy in the sense of like gameplay, but I think it's maybe making fun of the fact that oh, we can just have a Mickey Mouse game without getting sued now.
I'm so confused. That's another reason I wanted to bring this up. I'm so confused at like when Steamboat Willie hits the public domain. Like, why does everybody's first thought go to let's make it scary?
I don't know. Yeah, that was with Winnie Pooh too.
Yeah. we saw that with the Steamboat Willie movie. Like they did it with Winnie the Pooh. Like this game is obviously psychological horror. Like, is it just easy to take these characters? Like, is it easy to get like that kind of like shock value out of it because people are so used to seeing these characters in like loving kind of magical kind of happy settings, and you're like do a full freaking 180, and it's like now they're psychopathic killers. So I mean, is it just like a shock value thing, or do you really feel like these characters fit into that mold of horror? Or I'm very confused at like how they're trying to use the character.
To be honest, Dave, I think there's two different ways they typically go.
Okay.
They go into that horror realm,
Right.
or they go in the other side of things that we probably shouldn't talk about on this show.
What?
The adult side of things.
The adult side of things?
Yeah.
There's Steamboat Willie, like
Oh,
adult.
I have no idea, but I'm sure it's out there. You know what I mean? Like that kind of stuff. Like what can we complete? Like you said, a complete 180, and I think it gets completely 180 in two different directions.
Steamboat Willie does Dallas.
Sure, I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means. I don't think I want to know. Pure heart, Dave.
Yeah, he's Adam's pure. He doesn't know what I'm talking about. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think it's very interesting. Now, it's a game that I kind of have on my radar. It's a game that's on my radar for price point, right? I think this would be a really fun stream game. Like, if we're talking like this game is like $10, you know, it could be a really fun stream game because I think people have a good time watching you play it and just kind of feel creeped out and stuff like that. But yeah, not too much to say on it. I just wanted to bring it to people's attention. I think it's a really cool animation style. I would love to see more of this animation style in games. But yeah. I don't know.
The other game that we had talked about in the past is Mouse. Remember that? Like Mouse, the PI for hire?
Yeah, that one was
Yeah.
cool when he had the machine gun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you're right. I think you're gonna see more Steamboat Willie stuff like this or like this kind of setting, and it looks cool. Don't get me wrong. It's just not my type of game.
I would love to just see more of this art style. This 1920. As you guys know, like I loved Cuphead. I think I don't know. I think this was like we talked about this a little bit when we talked about the Lion King. Like animation is sadly kind of dead. So I love that they're kind of bringing back this style. Like I would love for them to bring back this style in like movies. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, we talked about the live actions. That's whatever. And I love Pixar style movies. Like, those movies are great too. But I don't know. I just kind of miss this like vintage animation style. Anything that we could do for more vintage animation.
And it's funny. I
I'm
actually
down
got
for it.
I got my son to watch Lion King today.
Like the real one.
Yeah, the real one.
Let's go.
He like did not move from his seat once, and was like actually laughing and enjoying it, and like was having a great time.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
See, you guys are missing out.
Yeah,
I fell asleep, the old school animation.
Yeah, I fell asleep for like an hour, and then I woke up, and he's still like glued to the screen, like sitting next to me.
Disney animation is the best babysitter you can have.